Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Faith. I'm writing an adult literary fiction novel named If I Had the Money, and in today's video we're going to be talking about why I like the literary fiction genre. So literary fiction, what is it? And I have like my phone as like my thing to give me my just like notes, and for those of you going like, oh, you're using your phone to do your notes, so what are you recording on? You guys know that I've been using my phone for a while, but now I'm using a camera because I bought one recently. Hopefully everything's good on it. But yeah, I'm using it and we'll see just like how everything's working. I like the quality a lot better than my old videos, but hopefully it's good. So yeah, and this is a really dark environment because like I just have light coming in from like the front and like light coming in from like behind to be like through just like something else, but like not like direct light. So we'll see how it's working. But yeah, why literary fiction? So why is literary fiction just like a weird genre to like? I feel like when you explain to someone like, oh, I like literary fiction, you get one of two answers. The first answer is, what is that? Like, what is that? Contemporary fiction, which is also another genre I like to read. We'll talk about contemporary fiction, literary fiction, just like that whole debacle later. But like it's another genre I like to read. But again, if I say I like that genre, people just look at me and they're just like, what are you talking about? And realistic fiction, you can say, oh, I like realistic fiction. People are more likely to understand what you're talking about. They still don't understand what you're saying. Like, okay, you like realistic fiction, like sure, like I don't know what that is, but sure, if you like it, then let that be something. So like I feel like that's just like one of the answers, and then the second answer to it is just like, okay, yeah, you're just a pretentious piece of like, you get what I mean, like especially when they came to college, because like back in high school, well, why is the lighting switching on and off? I don't know. Anyways, back in high school it was just like it wasn't a thing, but like especially in college, it's like, you know, they're looking at you like, okay, you're just writing the genre or just like reading the genre because you're pretentious, because like, you know what I mean, that's just like a college thing. And I understand it. Going to college, you start to understand that some people just like, I don't know, with this genre, they like, I'll be in a class and I'm just like, what the, like what, like I don't read literary fiction so for the same reason that you read it. So that's on that point. The next point, childhood. Okay, so basically let's just talk about like just how I got into the genre. In my childhood, I wasn't the best reader. Like I could read a little bit. Like I have immigrant parents, and so like basically was that like basically like they were speaking Igbo in the house, and then like at school I was speaking English, so then I don't know, I'm assuming that's where the mixture came from, like the mix, not mixture, but like the mix up or something came from like my reading. So I wasn't a very good reader. Eventually they kind of just tried to put me on track. I was like in every single reading program to exist, but I never enjoyed reading. I only started to enjoy reading around third grade, so like pretty early on in my life, which I'm lucky about that, but like I wasn't always a reader like a lot of people say they are. And basically I started reading graphic novels, and these graphic novels were like the Smiles, the, I have this on my shelf, Roller Girl, which is a book that I just like really liked at that time. What else was out there? Ghost. Baby Mouse is like the first graphic novel I ever read, and I was just like into all of those types of things. And oh, that Real Friends, and the thing that you have in common, which Baby Girl, okay, Baby Mouse wasn't like this, but like once I started to get into like that real like graphic novel, like teenage, well not teenage, but like, how would I, no, they're what, middle, preteens. Yeah, because it wasn't that like a thing like back then, like preteen, like you're like 11, 12, because, and then you're just like talking about like the pre-teen age. I don't know, maybe, or was I don't even think I was a preteen. What was elementary school? I don't remember. Anyways, like this like kid age, what is it, middle grade age, let's just say that. And like basically we're dealing with their problems, and basically in these graphic novels, which they got me into reading again, like this is like the first time I started reading for fun, and these books were about friendship and friendship breakups and learning what you love to do, and just like siblings and love, or like not love but like crushes, and just like, you know what I mean, it was about like those types of things. And I really enjoyed what I was reading, and this is like the first time I enjoyed reading, because again, I was constantly being forced to read something because obviously they were trying to improve my reading. So first time reading something and actually liking what I was reading. So there is childhood. Let's go on to the next stage. I'm gonna have to look through my notes for each thing. Okay, other genres. So basically, around sixth grade, I started to read other genres. So I started reading fantasy books around this time. I think fifth grade, I started reading romance books, and then like just middle school, I just started reading just like other genres. Like, and when I say other genres, I think maybe I don't even think I read, when I say other genres, I think I only did fantasy. There was another other genre section of my life where I read like mystery thrillers and like whatever else, but like I don't know, whatever. So basically I'm reading fantasy at this moment, and this was from 6th, 7th grade. So I read books like what is it? The False Prince, which I don't think anyone knows what that book is. It's just like a book I read at that time. What else what was I reading? The False Prince. I read the Twilight series. I read Beautiful Creatures, another series that I don't know if anyone knows what that is. I read a little bit of The Land of Stories. I read The School for Good and Evil, which is crazy to like watch the podcast with like the author of The School of Good and Evil, and then just like think about like me back when I was in like 7th grade or 6th grade during the summer, just like binge reading those books. And I don't know how I got into the fantasy genre. I think I just like was at the library and I just picked up a book, and it was like back in those days it was just like picking up books and just like reading them just for just like fun, and like that's just like what it was like, you know what I mean, you just went to the library, you picked up a book, you liked the book, you read more books like that book, and that just like became the era. So now let's go back to well, not literary fiction, but back to contemporary fiction, because again, that section of my life in like elementary school where I was reading those graphic novels, I would consider them almost like a literary fiction precursor, because like again, it's just like fiction about real life. So basically, again, in middle school, I think it was 7th grade, I say that like 6th grade and 7th grade was my fantasy era, but like it was like maybe half of 7th grade was my fantasy era, not even half. But like this was, I came back to the contemporary romance genre, and that was because of diversity. Back in the days, when you would read a fantasy book, there was no diversity. That wasn't like a thing. Like every character is white, and it was just like that. That's just how it was. So basically, I had read this book. It was Light It Up, and it was like the second book in a series, and it was about like these black characters, and it's like this interview styled book where, not interview style, but like you get each character and just like I feel like this is where my love of just like getting into every person's mind and just like being in their lives just for a second, just to go to another character's mind for a second. And I feel like this is where my love of that just like idea and that genre and just like whatever that stuff came from. Because I was reading that and I enjoyed that, and so there was that. So yeah, I really enjoyed that, and yeah, that was just like something I liked. Okay, my camera died, so I had to, replace it. Let's see, better direction. I don't know. Maybe this. Yes. So I had to, what's called, not replace it, but I had to, what's called, charge it just now. And I didn't fully charge it, so hopefully I can get this video done without it pausing again, but it might. But yeah, I guess that's the problem of using a new camera, but you know what, whatever. I'm learning as I go. So basically, we're gonna continue to talk continue where I left off. So basically, again, I learned that diversity could be in the contemporary, just like in fiction in general, because obviously I didn't have like a concept of just like what fiction was or anything like that. So basically, with like, okay, so basically like Light It Up was like that discovery, as I said. And like, so I'm discovering that this could be a possibility. So every single book I read after that point, I'm reading it like for, let me think, Okay, I'm reading books about black characters, so that just like became like a thing I did. I started reading a bunch of books, and every book I read, they were black, and sometimes they weren't, but it's just like it just became a thing. I started reading contemporary fiction again, and that was, I guess, the end of that era, and like how I got back to just like contemporary fiction again. Let's see the next stage. Okay, so after a while, I started getting deep into like the contemporary fiction thing. Like I was reading a bunch of stuff. I was reading, let's see, I was reading, yeah, just like a bunch of contemporary fiction at the time. We had an era where we went back to thrillers and fantasy and just like actually I think it was more like a thriller phase. But then I couldn't do it anymore because I don't know, it's not the same as like a TV show where it's like you can just like keep watching, but like I don't know, my reading speed doesn't match up with what I'm just like, I don't know, why am I saying I don't know, I say that a lot, what I'm just like seeing, like what I'm, I don't know, processing. Like, so it's just like I want to read faster, but I physically can't, and like that becomes a problem. And so like that just like became a problem within the thriller thing. And I was also just like there was like a bunch of anxiety stuff in that era, so like I kind of just had to stop that. So basically I went back to contemporary fiction, but like it was kind of just like this thing where I was very much in the contemporary fiction space, even though I was reading thrillers and it's like whatever, romance too. So basically time went on, and it's my senior year of high school. Wait, no, not senior, junior year. I forgot. Junior year, I think. And basically, during this time, I think, yes, it was my junior year. Yes, okay, I know this. Okay, so basically, junior year, I kind of am just realizing that I do not like young adult fiction anymore because that's what I was reading beforehand. Because obviously I couldn't read adult fiction if like I had a hard time reading just like, I don't know, back like reading fiction, like reading things I was supposed to be reading at my age in the past. So basically I turned to so I'm just like I'm going from young adult fiction to adult fiction at this point because like I'm not liking the young adult space. I feel like the characters are written too young, and just like this is no shade to young adult fiction. I don't know if this was just like me growing out of it or just like what exactly happened, but I was kind of just like, okay, I don't like this anymore. But there was a time that I liked it, so like I appreciate it for that. So basically I'm just like, okay, this isn't working for me, and I like it became like a whole thing. And so then we go to the adult literary fiction space because like the reason why this switched from, you know what I mean, contemporary fiction to a literary fiction is because like the majority of adult fiction, if you say adult fiction and you mean like contemporary fiction, it's going to be literary fiction, if that makes sense. Yeah, like I don't know, young adult fiction. It's not. There is a difference between contemporary fiction, literary fiction, upmarket fiction. Like there's a difference between them. But like the reason, like this is gonna be a little bit of a thing about like contemporary fiction versus literary fiction. I feel like once you get to the adult sphere, the idea of a contemporary fiction book, I feel like maybe once upon a time it could exist, but I don't think they exist anymore. Maybe they're more like women's fiction. But like I don't know, I feel like people aren't in this headspace right now, or just like people aren't in the, like they don't like the idea of a I don't know, not badly written, but like a non-flowery written, well, even if a piece of fiction isn't flowery written, it could be literary fiction, but like people aren't into contemporary fiction anymore, so then there has been this shift to literary fiction, and that's why I'm calling what I'm reading literary fiction, even though I read contemporary fiction and just like upmarket fiction and all that. But like it's like people will recognize what you were saying if you call it literary fiction, and that's why I call it that. So that was like my little thing that I said in the beginning of the video I'll talk about now, and now I'm talking about it now. So there's that. So basically, yes. So like we're on to the adult literary fiction stage, and the transition between young adult and adult wasn't like a very smooth change. I had read like a few adult literary fiction novels because I had a book club back in high school, and we read what did we read? We read Malibu Rising. We also read The 100 Years of Lenny and Margot, and those were just like two contemporary literary fiction books that I really liked. So then I also just like read some other literary fiction books, and even though I wasn't like wasn't wait what am I trying to say? Even though I wasn't a fan of, even if I wasn't a fan of a book, I would still like just like I would still like it enough. Like it wasn't like I was just like physically forcing myself to read a book, and I love that about literary fiction. And basically that is just like, I guess, the end of the story of just like how I got from just being a young person, like just being a kid, and then just like reading literary fiction and adult literary fiction, and like, yeah, that's how we are now. Okay, so basically just like, also just like, what type of person am I? This isn't in my, I guess my next thing is like the answer of like why I like literary fiction, so I guess this ties into it. So basically, as a kid, I guess going a little bit back, I was the type of person who loved stories that were like biopics. I think that's what they're called in the movie industry or something, like movies about real people. Like I liked watching the what is it? I watched, let me think. Hidden Figures. What was that movie? Frederick Freeman. Was that the, no, that's not the Black Messiah, I think. When the Black Judas. Black Judas, was it? I don't remember. It was one of those things. I liked watching that movie. I liked watching, okay, I can't remember any of the movies that I generally like watched in school and not on my own, because I also just like watch these movies on my own. But I liked the movies about real people, their lives, like them just like, you know what I mean? I like that whole storyline of them just like being whatever they are, and just like coming to that, to be who they are, and we're not even coming to be who they are, just like biopics. Like I like the idea of real people. I liked watching people just like do real things. Like that is what my favorite part of literary fiction is. Like back, even when I was like younger, I liked reading the middle grade graphic novels, because I liked reading about people having friendship breakups, and it's like I liked reading about just like, I don't know, like their first crushes and just like stuff like that. And then once I grew older, young adult fiction, I liked reading about just like the contemporary, just like young adult issues. Like I liked reading about, again, love, what is it? Where like their teenage issues, just like coming of age stories of just people coming into themselves. And then once it became adult literary fiction, I like the like reading about people just like living their everyday lives and there being problems, and even though it doesn't feel like a big thing in the grand scheme of things, it is a big thing, because it's just like, I don't know, like I feel like the best part of literary fiction is the fact that it feels so real. Like I like reading about real people, and just like people who feel real, situations that feel real, and it's just like the stakes are so real. Like I think that people a lot of the time say like, okay, I don't like to write about my life, like I'm not an interesting person. Like yeah, that's just like a really the big thing that people say, like, okay, I'm not an interesting person, so be why would I write about myself? And though I wouldn't write about myself either, but like I would write about situations basically I've been in, kind of, yes, because I think there is so much interesting things to being a human. Like I think that people just experience things that are so weird, so just like, I don't know, there's just something about real life that just like interests me. Like it coming from like the biopics to the just like middle grade fiction that I've read, just like all of it. Like I want to read about people being people. I want to read about people at work. I want to read about people who regret things. I want to read about grief. I want to read about love. I want to read about death. I want to read about, what's another human thing? Greed. I want to read about what is it? This, like, mental health. I want to read about physical health. I want to read about now I'm just thinking about things, themes. What do we have? I want to read about just like beauty and just like society and just like the what's called How Society Impacts a Person. I want to read about what's called social media. Actually, I don't want to read about social media, but like realistically, I could read about it. And I think that when I feel like a person is feeling enough, and though I do feel like a lot of literary fiction, a lot of the characters don't feel real, that's another story. But like when something feels so real, and even if it doesn't feel real, I feel like even if a book isn't real, which I want to talk about this in another video, like even if a character is so cartoonish, I feel like at the end of the day they touch on a just like such a human thing, like maybe like the way that people have hope in people, and just like maybe their optimism, maybe their pessimism. I just like want to read about people, and I feel like that's what got me to the literary fiction genre. It's not about the beautiful writing, it's not about literally anything, even though like some people may be like that's pretentious and whatever, and it's like, you know what I mean, like I won't follow the people who just like it for other reasons, but this is my reason for like liking it. Like I like to read about the characters, like I am here for the characters, and I'm here for people that feel real, because I think that everyday problems aren't just something that are just like, I think everyday problems are interesting. Like I think that when people tell me stories in real life, I am interested in it. I think that if you talk to people, or if you listen to people's conversations, even though you're not supposed to do that, you understand that humans are such interesting people. Like it's just like people are just interesting, and I think that that's just like something I believe. And I think some people think that fundamentally humans aren't interesting. I just don't think that's a true thing. I think that you can find so many stories in real life people and in real life things, and I don't think that you need to have all that of an interesting life to have had interesting things happen to you. Like you can talk to someone and you can find at least one thing that has been interesting to happen in their life. You don't have to have this mega big story about how you fell off a cliff one time in your childhood to have an interesting story. You can talk about maybe like someone could be talking about like maybe let me think, a friendship that ended one time. Well, no one would talk about that, but like, you know what I mean, like it could be something like that, like this just like thing that like, even if it feels like the smallest thing, maybe like let's pretend someone goes to a coffee shop and I'm just making things up as I go. They just like, I don't know, meet someone and they just like, I don't know, like I don't know. The idea is I like the people, and I like I think people tell interesting stories, because I can't even tell you the interesting stories people have, because they just aren't said yet. And it's just like when they are said, like the most mundane thing can be the most interesting thing, and that is why I like literary fiction. So as I said, it's not for the writing, it's not for like literally anything else. And yeah, I just needed to remind myself why I love the genre, and I guess the answer for that is the answer of like why I like literary fiction. And I feel like that's why I write it, and it's important to understand like why it was important for me to just like, you know what I mean, write this whole like little outline of just like why I like literary fiction, because it's just like sometimes I kind of forget why I'm reading the genre, why I'm just like, why, well, I don't forget why I'm reading the genre, but like I kind of forget what drew me to this genre in the first place. And I think it's important to know what I like out of the genre, so I can know what books to pick up and what books to write, and just like keep myself motivated, because I do like this and I've always loved this genre in some way or another. And yeah, it's translated to books, and I just think that people are a beautiful thing, and just like stories are a beautiful thing. And yeah, yeah, I guess that's just like the end of this video. Thanks for watching me rant about how I think that story, like literary fiction, is a great genre, because like I do complain on this channel a lot about like literary fiction, just like things that happen in it, but I feel like I needed to make a video about some good in it, because again, like it's not like I'm just reading this genre just to hate. Like I'm reading it because I generally enjoy the things I read, and generally enjoy the genre I write, and just like generally enjoy just like what this space is. And yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to say in this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.